to My Morning Fix. I'm your host, Benjamin Hilborn, and today we'll be continuing the Youth Are Awesome series, profiling prominent individuals in the Calgary community. Today we have my friend and outstanding social entrepreneur, Sam Gregory, with us. Sam.
Hey, Ben.
How's it going?
Good.
It's good. All right. So, I know you from school.
Yeah.
And you're the leader of the Scarlet for Global Aid group within Scarlet.
Mm-hmm.
You're also very involved in various other programs such as Band and Light Up the World.
Yeah.
What else do you do?
Well, outside of the stuff from school, I'm actually a part of an organization called Save Our Fine Arts. I helped kind of start it a year and a half ago. And basically we advocate for like excellence in fine arts programs throughout Alberta. So, yeah.
Okay. So what kind of things have you been doing through Save Our Fine Arts?
Save Our Fine Arts, well, mostly we've been kind of connecting, people in the fine arts community with, Alberta Education and the Calgary Board of Education, and making sure that the fine arts community's voice is heard and within education, and to, I guess, really make sure that anything, all the fine arts are seen as a kind of like a key point or key component of any education for all the students. And on January 25th we had a meeting with Dave Hancock, who's the education minister in Alberta, and
yeah,
that was really successful. We had about 700, had over 700 people show up, and we had a discussion panel, and people from the Calgary Board of Education and the Calgary Catholic School Board were both sitting on it, so that was really beneficial. And since then, one of our key social members has been asked to sit on a board within Alberta Education to discuss education in the future. So we got a foot in there, and within the Calgary Board of Education, we've had two of us, and myself included, asked to be sit on a fine arts task force. So we're definitely talking about fine arts.
So there's really some progress in actually saving the fine arts.
Yeah, well, maybe it's not so much saving the fine arts anymore, because they have technically been saved. That what we originally saw was going to happen isn't going to happen anymore.
Okay.
But now it's okay, how can we build on what we've already got and make it better? And with the economic situation and how much funding the school, the education is getting in Alberta, how can we still build on what we already have and make it like the most outstanding program we can have?
Yeah.
So,
Just for some backstory, what was the original situation?
Well, I guess Alberta Education proposed a framework, and there was exactly what it proposed was quite unclear, and one of the biggest concerns for us was that in high school they were proposing 1 credit courses instead of like a 5 credit course, and what this really indicated was that students could kind of dabble in the fine arts and get a sense of them, and
rather than actual education.
Rather than education in the fine arts. And if you think about fine arts, fine arts education is just like any other class that you take in school. You can't just jump in at any point and expect to be able to do it. Like, you can't jump into a grade 10 math class when you're 7 years old, because you don't know how to do what they're doing. So fine arts is you build up on the skills. It's a kind of continual learning process. So when we saw this proposal, we were like, well, that's not okay, because that's not the point of fine arts education. So yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
As well as being part of the founding pieces of, I guess, Save Our Fine Arts.
Yeah.
You were also in charge of the Scarlet for Global Aid, bringing that. That was originally Scarlet for Darfur.
Yeah.
And you have always been at the head of that.
Yeah.
Yes?
Well, the group started off as Scarlet for Darfur last year. So basically, we were advocating for and raising money for victims of genocide in the Darfur region, which is in Sudan, in the middle of Africa. And then at the beginning of this year, we were doing some research as to what exactly is going on in Sudan right now, and largely the genocide side of things has, it has calmed down. There's still fighting going on, and people are still dying, but definitely not to the level it has been in previous years. So I kind of said, well, the situation is getting better, and governments around the world are acting on it. So maybe we don't have as much of a role to do as a school group anymore. So how can we expand what we want to do and kind of take it different places? So.
Yeah. This
year we became Scarlet for Global Aid, and now we're looking at, we did a fundraiser for World Vision before Christmas. We're donating money towards Kiva, which is like a microloans group, and we are also holding a fundraiser right now for the Central Asia Institute, which is like an education group. So yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you're really reaching out to various outlets here.
Mm-hmm.
Just wondering, for the Kiva Foundation, has the Scarlet for Global Aid group ever been worried about returns on their investment?
Well, it's always a concern. It's always a kind of a risk you've got to take. The good thing about Kiva is a very reliable organization, and the organizations they go through in other countries who are lending out the money, for the most part, are very reliable. But with money and with lending money, you're always taking a risk. But I think that's something a risk the group is willing to take for the benefit it will provide for those people that it does work for. And the return is normally up in the 99%. So, unless you're one of those unlucky groups that doesn't get the money back, then I think we're pretty safe. So
that's good.
Yeah.
The ConocoPhillips Youth of Distinction Awards, YODA, recognize youth ages 13 to 18 for the remarkable ways in which they have chosen to live. The awards are not academic, rather they focus on leadership, friendship, overcoming personal challenge, and community service.
YODA is organized by a group of Calgary youth.
There are 7 categories of awards. Advocate Award, to be given to a youth who has committed time and energy lending their voice to a cause and bringing about change.
There are 2 Environmentalist Awards, to be given to a youth and a group of youth who are committed to improving the environment and reducing environmental degradation.
Leadership Award, to be given to a youth who has chosen to take a leadership role in bringing positive change to their school or community.
Peer Support Award, to be given to a youth who is a true mentor. This youth will have positively affected the life or lives of others.
Oh man, this sucks.
Perseverance Award, to be given to a youth who has prevailed over adversity or an obstacle in their life. Volunteerism Award, to be given to a youth who is truly selfless and dedicated in helping others. The nominee has shown commitment to bettering their community by volunteering their time to a cause they are passionate about.
There are 3 steps to nominate a young person.
Visit www.youthcentral.com/YODA.
Complete the nomination form and tell us why this person is deserving of this award through a letter, questionnaire, or short video.
Once you're done, send it in to Youth Central by mail, email, or fax.
Nominations are due March 4th, 2011.
Winners will be announced May 7th, 2011 at an event at the Calgary Zoo.
Roar!
So visit our website to nominate someone special in your life for the ConocoPhillips Youth of Distinction Awards.
Welcome back to My Morning Fix. I'm your host, Benjamin Hilborn, and we're here today talking with Sam Gregory. So Sam, before we stopped for a commercial break, we were talking about all the different things you're involved in. We have various organizations inside and outside of school. Where do you see yourself going with that?
I really, next year I want to be studying international development in university.
Just to clarify, what is international development?
I guess it's, being in, there's a number of different ways you could be working in international development. You could be working with, say, for example, the Canadian government, with the Canadian International Development Agency, CEDA. You could be working with an NGO, you can be working with organizations. And it's essentially promoting kind of development in third world countries or developing countries, and that could be economically, it could be through education, it could be through healthcare, it could be through public relations with the government. So yeah, there's a lot of different areas you can go into. Personally, I think I want to follow a path of education, international development, and I think just because of everything I've been doing with SOFA, say about fine arts, I think I've become quite interested in education and how it works and the philosophy behind it. So yeah,
I can see that through your work with Save Our Fine Arts and the and raising money for the Central Asia Institute as well.
Yeah,
just promoting education.
Yeah.
Do you ever see yourself in government?
I think that could be like a eventual goal, if you will, like something a bit later in life. Most politicians kind of get involved in politics when they're a little bit older and they have the experience and they have the knowledge and the background. So yeah, I would like to get involved eventually, I guess. So.
Do you feel that perhaps as you're so involved already, do you feel that getting involved in a higher level of politics now, could that be somewhat of a game changer, do you think?
I could get involved in, what do you mean exactly?
As in, like you said, not all politicians, the majority of politicians are well along in their years.
Yeah.
They have all the experience, but they also have all these ingrained philosophies and these these sets of beliefs that may or may not be true, but it's something that they will fight to the death for, and they're in a position to guide our company.
Well, it's interesting to say that because there's actually a new party in Alberta right now called the Alberta Party, and essentially what they're doing is they're trying to like renew democracy and get people involved and really try and work instead of having a policy for a political party and then having to change it based on what the people are thinking. What they're saying is, okay, what do the people really want, and basing their policy off of that. So I've actually become involved in that recently, and it is really interesting, and I really like what they're doing. So becoming involved in politics at this age, and if I go away to university next year and say Ottawa and I get involved in the politics there, it's definitely going to help, and maybe that's a path I go into if I do get involved enough. Maybe I do stay in politics, and I don't know yet necessarily. So
just to elaborate, how are you involved in the Alberta Party?
In a couple of different ways right now. I've been asked by somebody within the party if I can help facilitate with like a kind of a youth movement of it and helping get youth involved in it. Furthermore, there's somebody on the SOFA committee who's involved in writing the education policy for it, so they've been asking me for some of my opinions on that. And there's a couple of other opportunities I'm going to have to get involved to over the next couple of weeks. So we're going to see what comes out from that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Just to wrap up, say, what are you doing this weekend?
This weekend, studying for my test.
So your
test is,
You're still a high-ranking student.
Yeah, I'm not top of the class, but I study hard and I do fairly well. So yeah.
Well, it's good that you can keep both those up. You're very involved and still keeping up your grades.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you very much for talking with us today.
Thank you.
And it was nice seeing you.
Yeah.
This has been My Morning Fix. I'm your host, Benjamin Hilborn. Please continue to read Youth Are Awesome throughout our profile series, where you will see various other leaders within the Calgary community, and keep reading. We'll cut it before that, but we're all done.
What a loud clap. Jeez,